Hi everybody, I hope you're all really good. Thank you so much for watching this video and welcome back to Kirsty's Books. Today I am going to be doing my March reading wrap up. So this month was a bit of a slower month for reading. I had such a manic month with school and things like that, and I've been really busy. And I've been kind of in and out of reading slumps all this month. So I've only managed to read 7 books this month, which wasn't too bad because it took me ages. I was like middle of the month and I had only read like 1 or 2, so I did bring it back a bit. So the first book I read this month was The Future's Ahead of Us by Salem Miles. She's one of my really good friends on Bookstagram, so she gave me an arc of this book and oh my word, I loved it so much. This is the 3rd book in her trilogy. Or one of the trilogies she's got. It was the best book in the series, I reckon, but I would read the first 2 first. I would highly recommend them all. They are brilliant. They're like completely drama packed. They're very character focused, which I don't really usually get drawn to in books. I much rather a plot focused, but they're character focused. I love it, and it's so much drama and they're so impactful, they're so emotional, you get so invested in these characters' lives. I would highly recommend this one. I gave it a 5-star and it was the perfect way to end off the series. There's so many different storylines going on at the one time and there is so many themes and emotions and everything like that explored. It's just a brilliant series. I would highly recommend. The second book I read this month was Memoirs of a Teenage Amnesiac by Gabrielle Zevin. This was actually the first Gabrielle Zevin book I have ever read. I was gonna read Tomorrow and Tomorrow when it came out and all the hype was with it, and I put it on hold at my library and it never became available. And then by the time that it did become available, I was like, oh, you're fine, because I was going to read it for book club and then it was past the month, so I scrapped it and I never did end up reading it. But I will definitely be reading it because I loved her writing style so much. I rated this one a 5 stars. I got gifted it by Tandem Collective with Bloomsbury Books and Gabrielle Zevin for a read along of this one and Elsewhere, which I'll get onto in a minute. But this one was a huge 5 stars. I really loved it. It was so much fun, but at the same time it was so emotional and meaningful. I really enjoyed this one. It was so quick to read, not just because it's short, but just I love Gabrielle Zevin's writing. It's just so like, it's so easy to read. It's so enjoyable and easy and I loved it. I would highly recommend this one. After that I read 13 by Tom Hyle. Can we just take a moment for this edition? I actually got this one for £1 at a charity shop because I went to work and I'd forgotten to bring a book with me and it was really quiet. So I just nipped across to the charity shop and grabbed a book, but it's like all the sprayed edges are all like amazing, and this whole edition, I got this for £1. I've seen this one, or I saw this one for a while. I've not seen it a lot, but I did have it on my Amazon wishlist ages ago. Never got round to getting it because it was never like top of my list. I'm so glad I got this. I love anything dystopia, but this I literally read in one afternoon. I absolutely devoured it. It was so exciting. It was exactly what I needed. I was sort of in a reading slump and I couldn't get properly into books, and this one I just like I just rattled through. It was so good. If you're looking for dystopia, definitely go for this one. Yeah, 5 stars for that one as well. Okay, so then as I mentioned earlier on, I read Elsewhere by Gabrielle Zevin. Again, that was part of the read along. I gave this one a 4-star. I didn't like it quite as much as Memoirs of a Teenage Amnesiac, but I did still really enjoy it. It was so thought-provoking, which I didn't really anticipate. This is such an original concept. I've never read anything like it. I don't want to spoil it for everybody, but it's basically she gets killed. And the afterlife, you start aging backwards. So it's like the story of her in the afterlife. She's 15 when she gets killed, so it's aging backwards from 15. It's a strange concept, and it is done so much better than it sounds like. I think that concept, if I had known about it, I probably wouldn't have picked this up. As is the same with Memoirs of a Teenage Amnesiac. They would never have been books that I would have picked up and read. But the last one felt so nostalgic because it's the sort of books I used to read before I sort of properly became into reading and Bookstagram and everything like this. This one I would never have picked up, but again, it was really, really good, and I'm just obsessed with Gabrielle Zevin's writing. It's just like so lovely. And again, I got a bit behind with the read along for this and ended up reading most of it in like a day. So it's so easy to read, and I love the ease with which she writes. It's just, she's just a, I was gonna say she's a masterpiece. No, the books are a masterpiece. She's a genius. I was gonna say mastermind, and I was like, that doesn't really work. She's a genius, an absolute genius. You've seen me reading this. I have a video up on my booktube of my raw reaction to this. There are spoilers in it. I read The Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas. This is the first ever Sarah J Maas book I've read, and I am going to now read the rest of the ACOTAR series. I loved this. It took me an embarrassingly long amount of time to read it, not because I wasn't loving it, but because I was so scared of it, and because I was really, really busy with work and school and things like that at the time. I love this. I have become so obsessed with this series. Like, I've not started the second one yet, but I loved it so much. I have wanted to read it for so long because of the hype around it, but I was also really scared too, because I didn't want to not enjoy it, because then I get a lot of hate for it, and I also didn't want to love it, because I was like, then I'm going to fall down a Sarah J Maas rabbit hole, and that's going to be me, because there are so many Sarah J Maas books. I can't even cope. But I loved this, loved the characters, loved the storyline, loved the you can't even call it magic, can you? I loved the fantasy. What I loved about this is, although it's quite a thick book and there is a lot to get your head around, because obviously this is a completely new world, but there's no info dumping. I never really felt lost in it. Like, I didn't have a clue what was going on, and the only times I did was because I'd taken a couple of days break from it, but there was never any moments where I thought, oh my god, that's so much information all at once, and I never felt like I had no idea what was going on. So I really, really enjoyed that. There were a lot of characters to keep track of, but I did have like an idea of what most of them were. I did feel on top of it, like I wasn't completely out of control. I sort of, for a while, swerved off of high fantasy. I read A Priory of the Orange Tree, which is good, but I was so overwhelmed. I think it's like one of the thickest books I've read. It's like so thick, such a thick book, and it was good, but I was just so overwhelmed, and there was so much info dumping, and I had no idea, and I was so confused. I never had this. Usually the first 100 pages of a high fantasy book, I don't have a clue what's going on, but that didn't happen. From the very start, I was obsessed with this book. Really, really enjoyed this. No surprise that this is a 5-star. The second last book I read of this month was In My House by Alex Ewerston. I'm not sure how you pronounce her last name. This was a 3-star. I was so let down by it. I had really high hopes. I just, like, it's been sitting on my shelf for about a year and a half maybe, and I just thought, you know what, I'm going to pick it up. It's going to be a really short, quick, really solidly good thriller. It wasn't really. It had so much promise. That was the most annoying part. Like, for the first little bit of it, it was setting up to be such an exciting book, and there were so many things that intrigued me about it, and there were so many different ways that it could go, and there was just like nothing. It was just, I felt like there was no action, there was no climax. A lot of the storylines that did happen, just the plots just sort of fizzled out. I don't even know. I don't know how to describe it. I wouldn't recommend it to everybody. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody, actually. It wasn't horrendous. Like, I did enjoy parts of it, but I just felt like it went nowhere. It has got such a sound premise and such an exciting plot, and, you know, you get hooked by the start and you get hooked by the blurb, but it just didn't hit the mark for me. And I had a wee look on the Goodreads reviews, and although there were a few like 5-star reviews who were like obsessed with it, a lot of people were saying the same sort of thing, that there was so much that could have been done with it. There was so much potential, and none of it really followed through with it. So I was quite disappointed with that one, unfortunately. Thankfully it wasn't too long, so I did get through it. The final book I read this month, which was actually the best book I read this month, no hate to ACOTAR, or any of the other books that I loved, it was Cat Lady by Donal Porter. I'm going to show you first the dust cover for this book because it's cool, right? Don't get me wrong, it's cool. But then I'm going to show you the hardcover edition of this. Now I don't know if this is just the normal edition or if this is a special edition because I got it for free. My mum got it from someone at work and gave it to me, but you cannot tell me that, oh, it's upside down. all of that climax. Sorry again. You cannot tell me that this is not the coolest book you have ever seen. The inside pages are unhinged, and I'm not gonna tell you, you've got to read it for yourself, but oh my god, this is like silver foil. I'm not even doing it justice, like it's her signature on the end. I'm not doing it justice, the camera is sort of making it look weird actually, but this edition is so cute. I got so excited when I took the dust cover off because I mean the dust cover was fine, like don't get me wrong, it was alright, and I saw this and I got so excited. I love this. I know that it was really popular on Bookstagram for a while, but it was never really one that was on my list. I'm not really a literary fiction kind of person. I don't know, a lot of the time I find that it doesn't hook me. It's not as exciting as I need it to be. It's not got as good a plot as I need it to be. I devoured this in a day. And it's like quite substantial. It's like 300, 400 pages. Yeah, 350 pages long. And I devoured it in a day, like so quickly. I loved it. Oh my god, it was so emotional. I don't even have words to describe it. I just know that this was my favourite book of the month, and it will always hold a very, very special place in my heart. This book, I would recommend this to everybody. Yeah, I can't even speak about it without getting emotional. Hello! That's really spooky that I'm talking about the book. That's got so much about cats, and Luna has just appeared. But yeah, I would just recommend it to everybody. Obviously it was a 5-star. It was just one of the best books I've read in a while, actually. Completely different to what I usually read, but it was amazing. Loved the characters, loved the plot. Some parts of it were very strange, but I actually loved that. Usually books that are a little bit strange with characters that are a bit out there, and there's some situations and bits where you're like, oh, that's weird. So a lot of the time I hate that, and it sort of makes me feel uncomfortable in a book, but I didn't. I just thought this was so fun and so deep and emotional, and it dealt with so many different things, not just the main storylines, but so many different things and so many different characters that had so many different plots. A lot of the time you see, especially in books like literary fiction, it's just based on the main character and the few other like antagonist and love interest and things like that, but in this every single character felt well rounded because they had their own plot and they had their own character arc, not just the main character, and it just made for a very, very well rounded book that I was obsessed with. And what I also realised when I read that is I thought I hadn't read a Donal Porter book, but I actually have. I read So Lucky by Donal Porter, which was also amazing, and again it was one I just picked up. I think I picked it up from the library, and I was just like needing a book to read when I happened to have to go to the library, like to get picked up or something one day, and so I just read it and I loved it. And I think at the time I was like, oh, I'm definitely going to go and read some more books by her, and I never did. And then I was reading this one and I looked in the front page and it was like other books, and I was like, oh, I forgot I loved that book. That is my March reading wrap up. Thank you all very, very much for watching. I would love to know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them, or what you read in March and what your favourites were. But yeah, thank you all very much for watching this video. If you want to subscribe or like this video, that would mean so much to me, but just the fact that you're watching this is amazing, and I'll see you all soon for another video.